This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 566, How to Deal with a Vulnerability Hangover, Part 1, by Kristin Wong of thewildwong.com, and I'm Justin Malik. This is the podcast where I act as your very own personal narrator for free, mostly from blogs, sometimes from books, and today's a blog called The Wild Wong. Before we get to it, this is my last reminder for you to be on my mailing list before the end of the month. On the first of the month, I pick someone random to win their choice of book, any of the Minimalist books, or Live, Love, Explore from Leon Logothetis of the Kindness Diary series on Netflix. You get to choose if you win, and again, the raffle is happening in just 2 days, so to be part of that for free, come by oldpodcast.com and join my weekly newsletter. I'll give you a reminder at the end, so for now, let's hear the post as we optimize your life. How to Deal with a Vulnerability Hangover, Part 1, by Kristin Wong of thewildwong.com. You just put yourself out there. Maybe you confronted a friend or asked your boss for a raise or tweeted a passionate opinion. Now you feel exposed, but it's too late. You can't take back what you've said, requested, or expressed in 140 characters. Maybe your hands are hovered over your mouse, ready to delete, but you know it's futile. Your followers have already taken a peek at your identity, gotten to know you a little better. Your friend looks at you dumbfounded over your confrontation. Your boss thinks about your request in silence, and now it's awkward. There's no deleting that. You feel a little regretful, maybe even a little sick. You vow never to tweet again. You analyze every word of what you said to your friend. You feel silly and greedy for asking for a raise. Research professor Brené Brown, who gave a TED Talk on the power of vulnerability, calls this feeling a vulnerability hangover. And as awful as the feeling can be, it's not always a bad thing. Vulnerability can be a good thing. Being vulnerable feels like opening your front door in a pair of day-old panties and your worst bra. You never want anyone to see this side of yourself, and here you are putting it all out there on purpose. And once it's out there, it's out there. You can shut the door, yes, but it's too late. That's the rub. Like most people, I can't stand feeling vulnerable. As someone who writes for the internet, I feel vulnerable all the time. Even now, I cringe at things I've written, comments I've left, things I've shared on social media. A friend of mine recently asked, how do you do that? How do you stop feeling vulnerable? The short answer is, I don't. Some days are more intense than others, but almost every day I feel vulnerable, unsure of myself, and sort of like a fraud, which is why I recently vowed to go on a digital detox. The idea that vulnerability is good for you, though, is what helps me recover from the vulnerability hangover and keep putting myself back out there. Despite that awful feeling, vulnerability serves a purpose. As Brown says, it's, quote, our most accurate measure of courage, unquote. It's something that reminds us we're alive and we're growing. I like the way Roman Krznaric of the School of Life puts it. Quote, we live in a culture where making yourself vulnerable, exposing your fears and uncertainties, taking emotional risks, is considered a form of weakness and something most of us want to run away from. But Brené's research reveals the hugely positive outcomes that emerge from stepping into the arena of vulnerability. It is precisely when we expose ourselves, perhaps in a relationship or at work, that we have experiences that bring purpose and meaning to our lives, unquote. Here are a few of my own experiences with vulnerability in the past few years and how they've paid off. Number 1, writing about really personal issues I deal with, helping readers go through similar situations. Number 2, pitching a bunch of publishers my book idea, getting a book deal. Number 3, confronting a friend about something I was upset about, developing a deep, wonderful friendship. With these and your own specific experiences in mind, let's look at a few general benefits of vulnerability. Challenging your confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our tendency to seek out information that supports what we already believe. It's when you just know Tom Hanks played Tootsie, so you Google Tom Hanks and Tootsie instead of who played Tootsie. The correct answer is Dustin Hoffman, and I highly recommend the video of him talking about his role, but I digress. You see a search result that includes both Tom Hanks and the movie Tootsie in the same title, so you declare, yep, it was him, put down your phone, and tell your friends you won that bet. That's cognitive bias in a nutshell. Challenging this bias often means opening yourself up to the possibility that you could be wrong, and that feels vulnerable. In college, I allowed myself to be vulnerable when I debated my classmates about a social issue. They felt strongly about this issue, and I parroted information I heard, having grown up in a very small bubble. My classmates and my professor completely leveled me with facts and reason. I cringe to think about how stupid my arguments were, but if I didn't put myself out there, I might have been parroting the same stupid bullshit for years. I was vulnerable, and no doubt my classmates criticized and judged me, rightfully so, but that vulnerability encouraged me to open myself up to other ideas and admit I was wrong. To be continued. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, How to Deal with a Vulnerability Hangover by Kristin Wong of thewildwong.com. And I'll finish up this post for you tomorrow. And one last time, I won't be reminding you tomorrow, so this is your last reminder for the month to be in raffles to win books from me, and as a nice way to show your support for free, come by oldpodcast.com and join my weekly newsletter. You'll also get free spreadsheets from me, a video tutorial, and more, all free. Again, that's all by being part of my mailing list at oldpodcast.com. Thank you for listening through to the end. I'm really happy that you're here and part of this show. Have a great Thursday, and I'll catch you tomorrow where we'll finish this post and where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.